proud of our young people.
What is up?
In the community.
Here we
and most especially in 310 days in Ann Arbor, Michigan.
No, Princeton's going to throw for it. Got to get it off. They go for the ball game. Touchdown! Touchdown! Michael Jenkins on 4th and 1. Holy Buckeyes! Under pressure, throws it. Incomplete. The Buckeyes win.
It's so easy to be average. The hell with that! We don't want to coach average. Did you push yourself to be great today? Did you do it? If you didn't do it, you lost today.
Bill Jones gets the snap, takes a run, drops back the pass, fires long, down the right side, going toward the end zone, and it is caught! Touchdown! And it's Devin Smith again. He's knocked down. Football's fumbled, and Bosa takes it into the end zone for a touchdown. His second career touchdown, Joe. Samuel cuts it back. Ohio State wins.
Pitches to Archer Griffin, number 45, and Griffin fighting up the sidelines, and he gets it into Michigan territory. A great individual effort.
From the 20-yard line. Eddie George trying to hold.
Smith in trouble, spins away from it. 40, 45, 50.
This is a tough team right here. We're proud to be from Ohio, and it's always been Ohio against the world, and it'll continue to be Ohio against the world.
To throw, steps up, delivers deep down the field. He's got a receiver. Olave, touchdown, Buckeyes. McCord looks, fires, intercepted, and Michigan will win the game.
In a spot in the national championship game. It's on the way. No good. He hooked it. And Georgia is going to survive.
Howard runs it. First down, Moore slides down inside the 40. Ohio State.
Ohio State. We are the Buckeye backers, formerly the Big Ten backers, but we're back to our heart and soul. Everything that we're made of comes back to the Buckeyes. So we got a Buckeye graduate, Vegas Matt in the house, baby. And we just got a big win. We got to go over it. All right, it's been a little while. Time to digest. But we are still going to bring that passion because that's what we love. Born and raised Buckeyes are on the show right now. And I'm going to be in the house in the press box. So I got to talk about that too. That's a little later for the show. But what were your thoughts? Immediate thoughts after the game. We kind of talked about it on the phone together. But what do you got to tell our viewers?
Yeah, it's good to be talking about what we love first and foremost, so thanks. But I think this is one of those games where you went in where you thought the biggest question mark or the biggest weakness of the game turned out to be the biggest strength of the game. And I think that's where you have to start when you're breaking down the Penn State-Ohio State game is that offensive line showing up and showing out. What about you? What was your initial reaction from that?
Hell yeah, man. Someone earned a paycheck, man. The starting left tackle, Josh Simmons, goes out against the Ducks. We think the world's going to end, right? Then left tackle, Zen Mikowski, goes out against Nebraska. Holy shit, the world really just ended. Like, it's over. Life as we know it is over. No one comes back from that. Not even a peewee football team comes back from losing 2 offensive tackles in one season. That's just unheard of. I mean, it brings back those memories of going to your third string quarterback and winning a national title. Can they do that with an offensive line like this? I don't know. It's makeshift at this point.
Yeah, it's makeshift.
They showed out, man. They got the game ball. I mean,
as they
if
should.
I'm coach, Carson Hinsman gets that game ball, man.
I mean, I think that's the one that's not even being talked about. Obviously, we're talking about Donovan Jackson going from left guard to left tackle. Incredible.
Which is awesome.
There. But also Carson Hinsman. Yeah, same with Hinsman, right? You're looking at the center last year. Now he's a backup, barely seeing the field, moving over to left guard, playing out a great game right there. You just showed true versatility being that guard center combo. If we want to talk about earning a paycheck, I think we start seeing Jackson out there a little bit more, really solidify.
Oh, yeah. How's that translate to the NFL?
Yeah, it translates quite a bit. You know, you and I were talking a little bit, being a diehard Browns fan. And Browns fans can resonate with the fact that Joel Bitonio, all-pro left guard, throughout certain times throughout his tenure with the Cleveland Browns, he has bumped out the left tackle. They don't want him out there. That's not his natural position. But at the same point in time, he's done it for a few games in his career. And NFL teams truly covet that versatility. With a 53-man roster, if you're a guard and your center goes down and you played center and you can pop in at center for a game, they love that versatility on that 53-man. So not only are you looking at Jackson showing his versatility, rising up draft boards, maybe even a day one pick if he keeps playing good at left tackle, can also play that guard spot. But also Hinsman, that guard center combo, we talked about it last year at the Combine with Jackson Powers out of Oregon, ended up going in the second round because he was a center and a guard. So really,
anytime you can show versatility, hey, you earned yourself a little bit of extra paycheck, man. Absolutely. And that's what you need anywhere. I mean, if you can do it at the college level, obviously you can try to do it in the pro level, but that 53-man roster, it just makes it all the more merrier, right? And Brandon Snyder, USC fan, says, go Purdue. Well, actually, USC could probably lose to Purdue, so you might not want to say that too much.
Yeah, when you bench Miller Moss, I don't think you got a lot to talk about. So
it doesn't even hurt for you to say that, to be honest with you. Purdue is that bad.
Yeah, it really
They
is.
are the Purdue for sure. And we'll get to that a little bit later. But, yeah, getting back to that offensive line, man, it was good to see. They're not going to mess with it. They're going to keep that same starting lineup. Great to see for Carson Hinsman, man. Last year, starting center, then gets benched this year. Great to see him show out, hang with the team. Could have transferred, but he's just shown that he's the man. Sometimes when you stick around, the good things happen.
Left guard's an important position too, right? We always talk left tackle, but left guard's still that blind side of those right-handed quarterbacks. So it's a vitally important position. And right now, if he can go the next 4, 6, 8 games and play that at a high level, it's going to be really good for him.
And what was the national media talking about before the game? They were like, this is Penn State's chance. They're going to knock off Ohio State. A lot of people were picking Penn State, to be honest with you. And it was because on the road, a offensive guard playing offensive tackle, a backup center playing guard in front of 111,000 people, record crowd in Happy Valley, man. And that stadium's nuts anyway. So everyone thought they were just going to piss down the leg, shit down their leg, and not going to get it done. But, man, they showed out. Dude, that last drive, they grounded out 5 minutes and 13 seconds off the clock and earned themselves a paycheck, man. That's all I can say. Those brothers worked hard. It was awesome. Great to see.
I agree. And this is everything Ryan Day wanted to be last year but couldn't. You know, when he was his fake hype against Notre Dame, talking about being a tough physical team. That wasn't a tough physical team last year. And then that Michigan game, when Michigan gets the ball with 8 minutes left and they run it down your throat for 6 minutes, make you burn all your timeouts, that's what a tough physical team does, is they get that ball with 8 minutes, 6 minutes left in the game, and they just basically either keep it away from you entirely or they give it back to you with so little time you don't have much chance. And that's what this Ohio State team did this year. And it's a team, I haven't seen them be that physically dominant, just we're going to run the ball and you're not going to stop us. I haven't probably seen it in 10 years.
It was a page right out of Michigan's playbook against Penn State, too. When they ran the ball the entire second half, it was just like, we got it, get it from us. And then on the other side of the ball, that defensive line, that 4th and goal, 4 downs. I think they were inside the 3, each of the 4 downs.
They were.
And then
first and goal at the 3.
Stuffed them every time, man. That defensive line earning a paycheck too, man. Earning it.
That's how you win in college football, though, in the trenches. Any level of football,
Absolutely.
you actually win in the trenches. If you look back at some of the big losses Ohio State's had over the last 2 decades or so, they've gotten beaten in the trenches. And so what you saw out of this game was winning on the offensive line and winning on the defensive line, and that's how you ultimately win championships. So I think you saw everything you needed to see as an Ohio State fan in that game.
Absolutely. And we're talking about Tyleik Williams. He was instrumental in that defensive line, out with a sprained ankle. And they're talking about putting him back in, saying that he's ready to go. But, man, I sit him out. Why play him against Purdue? Give him another week of rest. Go ahead and play him against Northwestern. Make sure he's good to go before Indiana comes to town. A top 10 team in Indiana. Man, I can't wait to get into that in a couple of weeks.
And Williams went out on, I think it was either first and goal or second and goal. So McDonald actually had to slide back in there for the majority of that 4-down stand. Did a phenomenal job. Now he's kind of got a little bit more of a frame of a nose tackle, right? I know he's not in the 4-3 scheme, but he can play that defensive tackle. You got Harrow coming in as well. So you actually have a lot of versatility there. I completely agree. There's no reason to rush Williams back here the next 2 weeks.
And McDonald, man, he is earning his stripes. Day was like, he's earned some playtime. Of course he's earned some playtime, man. He blew up that line. Tackled Singleton in the backfield.
Absolutely.
On a third, I think that was 3rd and goal.
But that's again, going back to that physical toughness. They ran 3 of 4 plays inside the 3, could not score. Ohio State runs the clock out when the other team has the 2-minute warning and 3 full timeouts, and they run the ball and don't stop them. That's the physicality difference you saw in this game.
For sure. And then what's this do? What's this do to the coaches? Was it more of a win that Franklin needed, or was it more that Ryan Day needed? You kind of talked to me about this. So what's your impression on that? Did Day need this win more than Franklin?
Absolutely. I mean, I was talking earlier in that week that he loses this game, he's finding his own Uber ride home. I mean, it was that extreme, because now you're looking at 2 losses, not a chance in the world of getting in the Big Ten championship game. Maybe you squeak in the playoffs, you're going to go on the road. Horrible situation there. So, and Franklin loses this game every year, and Franklin's going to go 11-1. He's going to make the playoffs, probably lose in the first round. He's going to keep his job. So this is a no-brainer.
Do you think their fans were okay with it?
They're not, but you and I have talked about this at the beginning of the season. This 9-3 record, James Franklin wants to do every year, 10-2, where you're the 3rd, 4th best team in the Big Ten. They've set that as their standard. And until either he wins it outright or until they fire him, Penn State's always going to be the 4th best team in the Big Ten. So I don't think this loss has really hurt Franklin. It was Ryan Day. And it was absolutely Ryan Day. And I said this to you about 30 minutes after the game when you gave me a call. I said, if you look at the post game on the field press conference with Ryan Day, which you all saw in the video here a little bit, he was fake emotion. He was talking about Lou Holtz. He was talking about a tough team. It just came across as very fake, very forced. When you go to the post game on the field interview with him,
just to stand in there and get that stand like that, it just shows the grit and toughness of this team. There's a smile right here on my face, and I'm really proud of this team and the physicality, and then to get the ball on the 1-yard line and then finish the game the way we did on offense just shows the physicality of this team, the toughness of this team to go get this win, and it feels really good. We're gonna have some fun in Columbus tonight.
Yeah, I mean, you're not even catching the beginning when they go to Jenny Taft. He's just standing smiling. He's calm.
They even mentioned it.
He's not even out of breath.
Man, I have a smile on my face. He was relaxed.
Yeah, but I mean, the whole time as she's prepping up, getting ready to go to ask him questions, he's just standing there smiling. And that's what I said to you before this game. Ohio State needs to get their swagger back. They need to have fun. And you know what's fun? Winning top 5 games, beating Michigan, winning conference national championships. That's fun. And that's where Ryan Day had to get back to, was having some fun. And I said this to you before the game. I really wasn't going to think he was going to do that immediately after the game. But seeing his poised demeanor and his smile tells me he knows he has this team in the right place, and he has the team to do it. That was my initial thought. How about you?
Yeah, and he grind out a win. His team was able to do it. I mean, they got it there, and they did it the hard way. It wasn't the easy way. It wasn't the throw the ball down the field to Jeremiah Smith and just score touchdowns and beat them the way that they could have beat them when they were not making mistakes in the first half that they made. Like, there were tons of points left on the board, and they still overcome that, and they still win the game, which is impressive, and especially on the road. But I want to see more, because this matchup between Penn State and Ohio State, Penn State doesn't have the speed on the edges, especially on offense. They have Drew Aller that can throw the ball deep and spread out the defense, but they don't have those wide receivers. They don't have those burners on the edges that can take our DBs when they're trying to play man-to-man and burn them deep. That's the thing that I want to see. So I really don't think that this game is as good of a matchup for Ohio State's defense as Indiana will be and as Oregon was before. I still got some question marks out there. As much as I love to see it, as much as I love to see them play the grinding game all the way down the field, taking 5 minutes and 13 seconds off the clock, stopping them on 4 downs inside their own 3-yard line. Awesome. That's great. And it's a big-time win against a top 5 team. But the matchup is just not there. The one that stretches the field, the teams that stretch the field, are the ones that we're going to be hurt by the most. And that's why those big games exclude Penn State from this big game scenario, because I don't think that they're a big game, really. They're a good team. They're a solid team. They're perennial 3rd place in the Big Ten East finisher. Now they got another team ahead of them in Oregon because we brought in more. So they're a 4th best team in the Big Ten, and that's what they're going to be every year, and they're probably going to make the playoffs doing it. But until they start winning against big teams too, I really don't think that matters that much. They have to win the game, obviously. That was a game you had to win.
It was, but I think, and I'm not a Penn State fan, but if you look at the frustration of that game, Will Howard made multiple big-time mistakes. Big-time mistakes.
And let's look at one of them real quick.
Well, yeah, but I would say they let you in that game.
Yeah.
It was a complete and utter lack of creativity that cost you that. And I'll tell you right now, 1st and goal at the 3 when you're playing Oregon, Oregon's not going to run up the middle 3 times. They're going to misdirect. They're going to roll out. They're going to do some funky scheme you haven't seen, and it's going to be really difficult to defend.
Oh, and when they got Tez Johnson, remember when they did do it, they had Tez Johnson run in motion wide open, and they didn't hand it to him.
Yeah, you're right.
He
was running that arrow route. Yeah.
He was standing there like, hey, man, throw me the damn
ran
ball.
An arrow. He was 4 yards between the nearest defender, and they missed him. But that's where Penn State's frustration is. You ran 3 plays up the middle, and then you ran some funky play where you had 3 wide receivers within a 4-yard radius of each other. It was a terrible play call.
But I'm going to play that fumble. I'm going to play that fumble, and I want to get your honest-to-God opinion of it. What you think should have happened, what did happen, and why this is just unacceptable in my opinion. Completely unacceptable. Let me get it to you. All right. So it'll start playing over and over again. This is full speed, but boom, knocks it out. All right. Yeah. Look at who he's going against here. So it's a safety. Boom. Little guy. That pisses me off to no avail. Pull a Cordell Jones and truck the dude. Tuck the ball, run him over. If you want to win a national title, you can't be a pansy quarterback. If you want to win, if you want to score a touchdown, you make the touchdown any way you need to. You lower your shoulder, insert your will on the guy, knock him on his ass and say, hey, I want this touchdown more than you want the ball. This is my touchdown. Get off my field, bitch. That's what he needed to say. But he didn't. That's soft. That was soft.
No, I mean, I do have a different opinion on this for multiple reasons. My biggest problem with Will Howard, we saw it at the end of Oregon, and you'll see it in this clip, is he is not aware of his situation. And his football IQ is diminished greatly in both of those plays. One, we talked about Oregon, 6 seconds left. You catch the ball at 5. You have to have that internal clock. I have 3.5 seconds to make a play, get down. He did not have that, cost him the game. This play right here, it's 1st and 10 at the 13-yard line. This isn't a 4th down play. 4th down play, I fully support you. 1st and 10 at the 13.
Dude.
You're at the 3-yard line. Get out of bounds. Get out of bounds.
No way.
Even if he doesn't get it, man, it's 2nd and 1, and you have Junkins or Henderson. Like, I don't need you to be a hero. This is the problem.
I do need you to fight for scoring a touchdown.
No, I don't need you to fight for it. I have $2 million running back. No, it's ridiculous. He fought for it, and it cost.
If you have a chance for a touchdown, you do not give that chance up. And that
I don't need him to. I don't need him on 1st and 10 at the.
It's
13.
not that they need you to. It's being a football player. Be a football player.
I don't even need him to be a football player.
Look,
I need him to be a game manager, man.
If you want to win, this is what you do. This is how you do it. You knock the guy over.
What's the situation?
Right?
What's the situation with that one? Is
the
situation? Is it 3rd and 6? Are you trying? It
doesn't even matter. If you want it more than the other dude, you're going to get it. This one isn't even playing.
No, you're not, man. No, you're not. If that's a linebacker or something like that, you're just not. Like, you're going to get trucked. You got to be aware of the situation.
This was a defensive end or defensive lineman, actually. Cordell Jones here.
Yeah.
Yeah, really, because he wanted it. Look at him. He's like, I'm getting this. You're not stopping me.
Situational football. We'll go right here. That was 3rd and 3 at the 31-yard line. If he doesn't get that, that's a 4th down play. I don't know what the score is at the time. I don't remember this exactly. That's a 4th down play. And I'm going to tell you right now, 45, 46-yard field goal in college football, especially in 2015, not a gimme by any stretch of the imagination. So that situation, he's saying, I need to get a 1st down to keep this drive alive, fully support it. I will never support my quarterback on 1st and 10 at the 13 doing something stupid. There's just no reason.
It's not stupid. You want to score. Always want to score. Always want to score. If you have the opportunity to score a touchdown, you do not take a fucking knee at the 3-yard line. You do not go out of bounds. You do not dive for the pylon. You do it because it's your innate ability to just want to score.
And what happened?
You shouldn't even think. You should just do it.
That's
shouldn't think.
You should think. I mean, to me, any other position,
that situation
on the field, I'm fine.
That split second. You're not.
He did,
you're not
man.
thinking.
I mean,
you're scoring.
But he did. He tried to do what you're saying. He tried to go hit stick. And look what happened.
No, he didn't. He tried to just trounce in there. He's like, I got this. I'm scoring a touchdown.
I mean, I'll tell you right now, pretty much any other wide receiver you see in the country is going to pull up exactly the way this guy does.
You're telling me Cordell Jones would have stepped out of bounds there? No way. Dude was a winner. He wanted to win. He wanted to win always.
He did, man. But
he was a football player.
Man. I like situational football. I like knowing down, knowing distance, knowing situation, getting the ball to your real playmakers.
Yeah, but you don't know you're going to fumble. You put 2 hands over the ball and you lower your shoulder. No one's going to get the ball then, especially against a 6'4". He's a 6'4" quarterback. That's why we got him. 230 pounds.
I'll give you that.
He's on our team.
If he would have went in there, put 2 hands on that ball, and tried to truck the guy, and he failed or something happened, that's fine. As long as you don't fumble the football.
Yes.
He half-assed that. And to me, if you're going to half-ass it, get out of bounds. Just get out of bounds.
That's fair. That's fair. If you're going to half-ass it, but you should never be half-assing it as a quarterback at Ohio State.
Yeah, I agree. I will agree with that. But again, I think it goes back to more not understanding the situation as opposed to making the right play. And now you've seen Will Howard have 2 very costly mishaps.
That's
mental mistakes. I will always be good with mental errors, right? If he goes to try to truck stick, he puts everything he's got into it, he fumbles. That's an effort mistake. I'm cool with that.
Yes.
He makes mental mistakes. And I have no tolerance for mental mistakes in any part of life, especially football.
And then what about the interception? What about the pick 6?
I don't mind that one as much because that's a 3-step drop. You're looking to hit your first read. Kudos to Penn State. You study film. You knew it was coming. I have less of a problem with that. He's had a couple, though, this year where he's either tried to, force it up to Jeremiah Smith or just not made the right read. He's had some really bad interceptions. And I think the key to this season is going to be how smart is Will Howard in running the offense and not turning the ball over. I think that's your
listen to this. We got to listen to his stats because they're a little bit deceiving and how we talk about him, because the ones that he does turn the ball over, they're bad and they're in bad situations. But really his stat line's great. Against Penn State, he was 16 of 24, 182 yards, 2 touchdowns, the 1 interception, the 1 fumble, sacked 3 times, but still had 24 yards rushing. Of course, if you don't already know, the yards against you when you get sacked are subtracted from your rushing yards, which I think is stupid in college football, but that's another day to talk about. So for the season passing, he is almost 2,000 yards, 1,977 yards, 73% completion percentage, 19 touchdowns to 5 interceptions, which isn't bad. It's not excellent, but it's not bad at all. Rushing 115 yards and 5 touchdowns. So the dude's doing pretty damn well. And that's what we needed, right? Someone that's going to do pretty damn well. It's just these big moments. It's hard. It's hard to see in these big moments. Cost him one game.
That's what you
almost
play
cost him another.
For. You don't play at Ohio State for Purdue this weekend. That's not why you come here. You come here because you're going to play 3 to 6 big deal primetime games, and you better show up. And so far, in the 2 biggest games this year, he looks like he's mentally incompetent.
He looked good. He looked good. It was that last drive, man. He looked good against Oregon. Good against Oregon. I think he came in too amped up. He wanted to win this game so bad because they didn't recruit him that he was playing with emotion. It was all in his head. He was just like, I got to get this. 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 I got to show them that they should have taken me. And he wanted to be all world instead of just lead the team. He's got NFL players everywhere around him. He needs to just manage the game.
I completely agree.
Tried to do too much there.
But I mean, unfortunately, Ohio State fans, we've seen this trend of you need to drive the ball down the field last drive of the game to win the game. And we're seeing this trend where it's not happening. You go back to Clemson with the interception in the end zone. Georgia missed field goal, which could have been a heck of a lot closer if they had done right. Oregon as well, the phantom OPI call on Jeremiah Smith, all the crap that went with that. So what I'm also seeing too is this trend of, can you march the ball down the field and score when you need to win a game? I mean, that is the
against elite opponents. Against
anybody really at this point. But I'll tell you right now, that's the mark of an elite NFL quarterback. You look at Tom Brady back in the day. You look at Patrick Mahomes currently. They get that ball with 1:40 left. They just drive down the field, score, win the game.
Give Mahomes 30 seconds, man. I think he had a game where he had like 30 seconds. And
he had 13 seconds against Buffalo in that playoff game, and they got a field goal out of it. And that's the mark of an elite quarterback. So that's, again, when you're looking at these big time games. Of course, I don't want us to be down by 5 or less going under 2 minutes to go, but this team also has to prove that they can do that.
Absolutely, freaking lootly they do. So moving on to the next subject. We've done enough, Howard. I just hopefully he learns from this. It's a learning experience. And next time, just truck the damn ball. Truck the dude. Tuck the ball. 2 hands. Truck the dude.
That's all I got to say. 2 hands. If you're going to do it, 2 hands. Don't fumble out.
2 hands. 2 hands. So now we get to go to the Jeremiah Smith thing, man. Jeremiah Smith is up for Freshman of the Year. Dude, he deserves it in every way. Every way, dude deserves it.
Absolutely.
Actually, you know what? I'm even going to cover up our faces and just show a picture of him because he's so damn good.
I would too.
Boom. Look at that, man. 678 yards and 8 touchdowns. 8 touchdowns is tied for 9th in the nation. No one above him is anything but an upperclassman as far as touchdowns receiving, right? Awesome. 9th in the nation. Tied for 9th in the nation.
I mean,
678 yards is 23rd in the nation. The only underclassman above him is Ryan Williams. Has more yards, but less touchdowns.
Yeah. I mean, I'll give you this. I listen to a lot of ESPN Cleveland 850, and they used to have a beat writer for the Browns, who's now the ESPN senior writer for ESPN, but covers the Buckeyes. So this guy spent a lot of time covering the Cleveland Browns, right? Knows a lot of the scouts, everybody there. Now this is his first year covering the Buckeyes. He has said that he has talked to multiple scouts with the Cleveland Browns and across the NFL, saying that if Jeremiah Smith were eligible, which, by the way, he's not eligible for the NFL draft till 2027, but if he was eligible today, they're saying he would be the first wide receiver off the board, potentially a top 15 pick. And we're talking about a freshman. That is unbelievable praise. And you and I both know the difference between a freshman and a junior, that 3-year difference. That's why the NFL imposes that 3-year rule. You need that time. You need everything. They're saying he has the body type, the work ethic, the mindset. that NFL teams would look to take him in the top 15. There is no better praise you can have as a college player than somebody saying that to you as a freshman.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome. I mean, and why not? I mean, that's why Ryan Day like almost fell down when he was like, "Oh, we got him. We got him." He was on stage talking and was like, "Oh, all right, we got him."
That was like the knees literally
good.
just giving out involuntarily because your body just spasmed. It was bad.
I think it was on purpose, but
I actually don't, man. I think he's under a lot of pressure. I think that was just straight emotion getting to him.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Could be. I mean, that's a lot of work. And the number one receiver, number one player in the nation, you know, a lot of times you see that come in and you're like, all right, he's getting a lot of praise. You see those clips on Twitter, you're like, X, I guess, of those one-handed catches at practice. We see it every year. And then they just don't translate to the field their freshman year.
Look at
Julian
Fleming,
case, man.
Julian Fleming was the number one overall prospect, wide receiver, can barely make the field at Penn State now. I mean,
he was the number one receiver. He wasn't the number one prospect.
I thought he was the number one overall.
No, I don't think a receiver's ever been number one overall before. This is the first time.
Okay. Well, he's still the number one wide receiving prospect. So I mean,
which is
just because you're getting
amazing.
that title out of high school doesn't mean it translates. And he's just a different animal, man. He's a freak in the best way possible, and he's just going to be putting up numbers. He has the potential, depending on how the QB draft looks in 2027. I mean, he has the potential to be the number one overall pick in the draft. He's that good.
Sure. Yeah. And man, that ball, that Will Howard's best ball of the season was to him losing. I think he lost it in the lights, right? Or he didn't know it was coming to him and didn't see the ball until it was too late and had to speed up. But that was the best deep ball I've ever seen Will Howard throw. It was perfect, man. Just perfect, and he lost that one.
Yeah, it was, man.
I'm sorry. If he would have thrown that ball to Tate when he threw it out of bounds, oh, man. That was a perfect ball.
He did pull up a little bit, too. And that's where I'll actually go back to. Well, no. If you actually go back to the interception Howard threw in Iowa, he underthrew that one intentionally, thoughting Smith was coming back for it. And you've actually seen a couple times on that fade routes, they're doing that 30, 40-yard back shoulder throw, I'm sorry. And it kind of looked like he wasn't sure if Howard was going to do that or not. So I think really over these next 2 to 3 games, hopefully the weather and the wind aren't a factor. You'd really like to see them try to stretch that field, show that Howard can throw that 40, 50-yard fade.
Yeah. Yeah. And well, I think just keep going with the medium range game. Do your crossing routes like Ryan Day's offense is built to do. Get people open and throw your medium range balls because it's working. It's been working all season. Take a couple of shots here and there deep. You know, when he burns them, throw it.
Well, you have to prove you can do it, right? I'm not saying throw 9 fades on Saturday.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is you have to put on tape that, hey, if you do this, we're not going to back shoulder fade at 30. We're going to connect at the 50-yard bomb. So you really have to demonstrate it, I think.
Oh, can we go back to like what you said when Ryan Day and Chip Kelly met at the middle of the field?
It was towards the tunnel. It was towards the tunnel as they were walking into the place. Okay. I mean, Ryan Day was.
There was some emotion there, right?
I mean, he was as giddy as a kid on Christmas morning, man. I couldn't believe it. I've never seen that kind of excitement or emotion. He jumps up, puts his legs around Kelly, like he just proposed to him, really. I mean, that was the first thought in my head. It looks like those proposal videos that you see. And I thought it was really cool, again, to see Ryan Day having fun. And everybody knows the long history between Chip Kelly and Ryan Day. Probably like, I don't know if it's like a father-son or more like big brother, little brother kind of.
I think it's father-son for sure.
Yeah, it could be father-son. I don't exactly know their delta on their age right off the top of my head. But
it's also funny because if you didn't already know, Ryan Day lost his dad when he was younger, so he had to have that kind of father figure some point in his life, and I think Chip Kelly fills that void for him.
Absolutely. And again, you saw the excitement, the happiness, the giddiness from Ryan Day. It was funny because Chip Kelly was certainly smiling, but it was like how a dad smiles, right? Yeah. Great job. And literally hugged him, was keeping his emotions in check. He did smack him on the butt at the end, obviously, as a gesture of fun. but it was just really good to see the fun come back in Ryan Day. And that's where, again, I think this week is so important and why I'm not a big proponent of you got to score 60 every game, right? It's really hard to do. This is a game I would like to see 62 put up, something like that. And I want to see 62 put up and having fun and people smiling on the sidelines and enjoying themselves, because I think if they can get that energy and vibe back, you go into Michigan and just say, hey, beating Michigan is fun. We're going to go have fun. We're going to win this game by 40 points because beating Michigan and getting gold pants is fun. They can do that. I think they got a shot.
Yeah, for sure. If they keep having fun, I'm scared about Indiana. But again, that's a topic for another day when we get there. Indiana's got Michigan this week, so it's going to be fun to watch that. I hope they take Michigan to Pound Town. And I want them to stay a top 10 team because it's going to be fun to see a top 10 team in the shoe because we don't got any other opportunities for that. Michigan sure as shit ain't going to do it. At 5-4,
we had to check.
They might be lucky to make a bowl game.
We did. I didn't know who they played in between Indiana and Ohio State. And I actually was wondering, is there a chance that they don't make a bowl? Unfortunately, that sandwich game is Northwestern, so probably going to go 6.
Come on, Northwestern. You never know. Northwestern can always, show up for a game or two every year.
I don't know. I mean, the only upside with that is if Michigan had a high power offense but no defense, I would say no chance. The fact that this could actually be a really strong defensive game, highly unlikely, but who knows?
All right. Well, what do we got next? A little bit. You know what we need to do?
Pay some bills.
We need to get spicy up here. Pay some bills with Dano, baby.
Seasoning, food's favorite flavor.
Yum, yum, get you some.
I'm Joe Burrito, your favorite burrito. Whoa.
Joe,
hey.
We all know you're the best.
What?
You can always do better. Try the new Dano's Hot Chipotle.
Hey. Ooh, that's spicy. Yum, yum.
Yum, yum, get you some.
Yum, yum, get you some. And speaking of get you some, this Purdue game this weekend, are you scared at all?
No.
Nothing.
This is
not worried at all. It's not like a game that they're going to overlook. Nothing like that.
No, and I think we all got a little spooked by Nebraska, but I think we all need to take a step back and say, okay, Nebraska just got drummed by Indiana. Nebraska has a really good coach. He's got some talent in there. I'm not saying that's an elite football squad, but you really saw that team mature and respond under a seasoned veteran head coach with some talent. Everything I just said doesn't apply to Purdue. They have zero talent. Coach is fine. Can't do much of what they got there. This is a get-right game. Work on your run game. Get your fundamentals sound. Win by 56. Go have some fun.
Win by 56. Go have some fun. Well, in order to take a look at Purdue, we got to look at this schedule, man. Whew. It's just brutal. Brutal.
They got that Indiana State up there. I mean, that's not bad.
Yeah, Indiana State, 49-0. There's a win. But, I mean, 66-7 to Notre Dame. Oregon State, respectable a little bit, 38-21. Nebraska, 28-10. Wisconsin, 52-6. They're losing. Illinois, they kept it close, man. 50-49. Went for 2.
I think they outscored them like 40-3 in the second half, though. I mean, that was like an Illinois epic collapse. They were up by like 37 at halftime. It was crazy.
Oregon, which actually was a little surprising to me, only put up 35 points.
Yeah, but that was after Ohio State, and that was traveling west to east. So that, to me, was a sleepy game for Oregon.
Yeah, and then Northwestern, 26-20. That was the overtime game.
Yeah, and again, I think what you need to do is you need to have a really clean statement win here. You had a good win last week. This is come home. This is rush. I want to see 300 yards rushing this game, to be honest with you, man. I want to see him run the ball. I want to see that line continue to gel. Do what you got to do. If this game really is I mean, we'll talk about this a little bit later, but if they're not covering the spread of this game, to me, something probably didn't go right.
Yeah, the 38 points.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's get into that now. Let's go ahead and get into the little bit of the Vegas betting odds. So go ahead, Vegas.
We're going to abbreviate it, obviously, but I do want to say the Buckeye backers want to clearly state that all aspects of our betting segment are for entertainment purposes only. If you got a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Please gamble responsibly. But yeah, let's get right into it. So you've kind of seen this spread. It's been a little bit of funny, right? Because you've seen it really start at 38.5. I've actually seen it drop down to 37.5, but it's kind of hovering within that 38-point range. We all can figure out 38 points, 5 touchdowns and a field goal. So I think if you can get it at 37.5, I kind of like it 38. I don't think you should push, but there is a good chance you would push there. So keep an eye on that. Over under stayed pretty flat at 53.5. And I think that's more of an indictment of people saying, are Purdue going to score any points this game versus is Ohio State going to get over it? So, 52-0 at that point, you might not see any more points in that game and you hit the under at 52. So we're not picking the game or anything like that, but just kind of your feel with a spread of 38 over under at 53.5. Kind of what are your initial thoughts around that?
They better go over 38. They better. You got to make up for the mistakes that happened last week, have a clean game this week. They got to be a team that is getting to the point where they're peaking. It's November. It's almost mid-November. Time to get going. So I want to see more than 38 points. I want it to be like the 56-0, 56-7 type of game. I like to see it without a touchdown. 56-3 is what I'm planning on.
I agree. And honestly, we can all go back to 2014, right? The great teams start peaking in November. I don't really care what you do in September or October. I want to see them peaking, and I think dominant wins against Purdue this week, Northwestern next week. I think that's going to have this arrow pointing in the right direction. I think there's a very favorable matchup against Indiana. So I think you could start seeing 2 really big wins back-to-back, and then you lay the hammer to a potential top 10 team at home. I think you're going to see a lot of really positive vibes from here, but you got to take care of business 1 week at a time. So
yeah, and I don't know that there's necessarily a distinct advantage against Indiana, but we'll get into that later. We're going to Indiana's got this week. If they can handle the trenches that Michigan has, then they're a good team. As long as they can push around that defensive line, that's what I want to see. And their defense is good. Indiana's defense is great. But yeah, we got to see a big game. And people get hung up on things like Nebraska, but every great team every year has a hang-up game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Georgia's, the Alabamas, everyone every year has it. Ohio State's had it. Anytime they won a national title, and in fact, in 2002, they had a hang-up game every game. They didn't dominate ever, man. It was like cardiac cats always.
Yeah.
But they found a way to win. And great teams find a way to win, no matter what.
Yeah.
We're going to win this. Even if it's a struggle, if we play like crap, we win. And that's what was good about Penn State, too. They found a way to win.
Well, they dominated that game. I have no problem saying it. Will Howard doesn't fumble that ball. It's a 21-10 game. And not only a 21-10 game.
Or doesn't throw the pick six.
Like I said, I give that to him. Like that's a mistake. That's a 3-step drop. I have no problem with that. But they go up 10-0 in the first 5 minutes. Their crowd's into it. They're pumped. Ohio State scored 14 straight. They're not driving. If Will Howard doesn't fumble that ball, that's a 21-10 game. They don't have to drive back down the field and Nick Benosin bailing you out, which he did.
Yeah.
But that's the thing is you've taken the wind out of their sails. You've taken the wind out of the stadium at 21-10, scoring 21 unanswered in the first half. I think it's a completely different ball game. And honestly, I think Ohio State wins by 14-17 if he doesn't fumble that ball.
Now that we're talking only our passion, we can get into just prop bets for Ohio State, right?
Yeah, definitely. And definitely want to focus on that. I would say in this game, like I said, if I had to lean somewhere, if I'm getting 37.5, I would like it in favor of Ohio State minus 37.5. Otherwise, I'd probably play an over here just because I do think Ohio State's going to put up a lot of points. We're going to talk about this in a little bit, but you can always throw a garbage touchdown at the end one way or the other could swing it to the over. But this is, again, when you're really digging deep in Ohio State and you're looking at props, you got to always understand, okay, what's the situation? What's the matchup here? We are clearly expecting a blowout, right? Yeah. So when you're expecting that blowout, there are a couple of things you want to say, okay, how does a typical blowout look? Let's say they're up 28-0 middle of the second quarter, 35, 38, 3 at halftime, something like that. You're seeing a lot of the second string go in. So one of my favorite props that I love, James Peoples plus 1 touchdown. You're getting plus 140 right now. I was talking to you about this. If Ohio State plays this right, they should be up by 35, 38 points at halftime. You're looking at all that second and third string come in. I think they'd really like to get a look at Peoples.
And then they'd be running a lot too, just to run
they would
the
be
clock.
Naturally. They'd be running a lot. I think they're going to give them a lot of touches. So you're seeing James People plus 140 for a touchdown. I really like that. Carnell Tate, I think he's put a lot of good stuff on tape the last few weeks. He's really shown up as that viable number 3 wide receiver. He's at plus 120 anytime touchdown. I really like
anytime touchdown.
Really? It's just a touchdown, 1 touchdown anytime.
Yeah.
Same
awesome.
verbiage for everybody out there. As long as you get 1, it's just 1+. You can obviously go 2 or 3 odds, infinitely improve. I don't really like to look that way. Another piece I do like early on is Quinshon Judkins' first touchdown of the game. So you always got to be really careful when you're looking at these prop bets. You can do first Purdue touchdown, first Ohio State touchdown, or you can do first touchdown of the game. This is first touchdown of the game. I think they want to go really run heavy early. I'm sure Chip Kelly loves his passing game. He knows what it is. I think he wants to establish the run, so that's what I like there. So I'll just stop kind of halfway through. You got Tate at plus 120 for a touchdown, Peoples at plus 140 for a touchdown, and Quinshon plus 400 for the first touchdown of the game. What's your read or thoughts around that?
The first one I take is Peoples.
Yeah.
For the touchdown. I mean, I think that's if I had to do a statistical analysis on it, this is just in my head, but I believe that would be the highest odds.
Are you just talking your own personal odds? Kind of.
Yes. Yeah. In my head. Yeah. The chances, how many times does he have a chance to score? Probably almost the entire second half, maybe a little bit of the second quarter. So that, I mean, the first touchdown of the game is just, that's the first 5 minutes, and so many other players can score, and they split time with Travion Henderson. So it could be Will Howard up the middle. It could be a pass. It could be.
And that's
the last one. I stay away from that, to be honest with you.
Which one?
The first score of the game.
Oh yeah, that's why it's plus 400.
Judkins.
Yeah, that's why it's plus 400. None of these odds are good. It's just typically, I'm trying to look at the most probable based on that. Same with them, but we got a couple others. You have Will Howard passing yards over under at 274.5. I like the under here. Not trying to knock Will Howard any more today than we already have. I just don't see him slinging the ball around, right? In the win last week, he had 183, you said? He's probably going to rack up maybe 150, 200, right? Some good throws, some long throws, but they're not going to go out there just throwing the ball all around. So I think under at 274.5 is minus 110, so you're kind of getting a normal betting odd there. I like that. And then both Jeremiah Smith and Ibuka over under catches, just straight catches, is at 5.5. I actually like the under at minus 160. It's a heavy favorite. And again, this is not an indictment on these two. I just see this as a game where you spread the love. You spread a lot of players, a lot of different people. I don't need Smith having 10 catches or Ibuka having 10 catches. I'm going to get them their yards, maybe 3-4 catches, 70, 80 yards apiece. Let them go sit down and enjoy the rest of the game. But I'll stop at those. We got one more.
So that's
on passing.
Wait, that's individual, not together, right?
Oh yeah, correct. Each of them is set at 5.5 catches. Correct. Yes. Thank you for clarifying. So I like them. I like both of those. Both Smith at under 5.5 and Ibuka at under 5.5. They're both at minus 160.
Yeah. I think. I don't know. I guess one of them will probably have over 5, and if I had to guess right now, it'd probably be Ibuka.
Possibly.
He's due for a breakout game.
Oh, I
I mean, I guess he's had one.
I'm jumping ahead a little bit, man, but I just have this sneaky feeling Ibuka goes off against Michigan. That they somehow
and that would be awesome.
Because Jeremiah, you can say, buddy, you got 2 more years to play this game, right? We're going to send Ibuka off the right way. I mean, if you have that kind of luxury, I would take it. And I just don't think they're looking at this game saying, great, we get you 3-4 balls, you get 60, 80, 100 yards as a result of those 3-4 catches. Great. We'll call it a day.
Absolutely.
Yeah, a little bit. Like I said, when you're looking at props, there's so many options here. So you try to break it down in context of the game. But I'll tell you what, there's one left on the board, and I know you really like this one. So over under total points for Purdue in this game. Right now, the over under, and this is just how many points does Purdue score in the game. Right now, the over under is at 7.5.
Yeah.
What are you feeling?
Well, I look at the schedule we have on there. They've only done it 4 times. 4 times. And it was against Oregon State, Nebraska, Illinois, which was kind of a fluke game, and Northwestern. Illinois is not as good as we thought they were.
Yeah, no, and Indiana State. You got to give them that.
That doesn't count. That doesn't even count as a game. Doesn't count as a win. Take that off.
I know. Tell that to the SEC, buddy. They got their bye week coming up here in 2 weeks when they all play FCS schools, but
I guess awful. I'm glad we don't do that in the Big Ten. We got enough of that in the first 3 games of the season.
You should be playing your best football in November, not having bye weeks and cupcakes. So
it's annoying, and they all do it. That's the problem.
They all do.
Anyway,
yeah.
Another topic for another day, but yeah, I would definitely take the under there.
Yeah, I mean the only thing that's super scary about something like this is listen, if it's the end of the first half and Purdue has 7 points, none of us are surprised, right? They scheme up a great first series, right? They have everything in place. They march down the field and score a touchdown. Like, okay, it happens, right? Ohio State scores 35 unanswered. That happens. And then you look at that and you're saying, okay, 7 points in the first half. Well, garbage time second half. It's really hard with your second and third string to completely shut out a team. So it's a tough line, but you like the under there?
I do, absolutely.
It's at -160.
This defense, man, just look at what this defense has done. The goal line stand against Penn State, the goal line stand against Nebraska, the holding Oregon to a field goal at the end of the game there, too. They're a good defense, a solid defensive line. They're a bend but don't break, and I don't think Purdue can even make them bend.
Yeah, I mean, I'll counter by saying you look at the Marshall game, right? You gave up 14 there. And I'm not saying down in the game, but sometimes you do naturally just play down to the level of your competition and just knowing that, obviously it's hard to replicate first and goal at the 3 in Happy Valley, right? That is pure adrenaline, emotion, mano a mano, and they stepped up. You're not going to replicate that in 10 minutes left in the second quarter when you're up 21-0 against Purdue, right?
Yeah, and hopefully that's the case.
It's not an indictment. It's not an indictment on your defense. It's just that
kind of like we talked about earlier. It's kind of like we talked about earlier. We want this team to be a team that's peaking towards this time so that they go into the Big Ten championship game, hopefully, and just blow the doors off of Oregon. They got to get that rematch. I don't think they'll blow the doors off of them, but we want to see them win that game, right? They need to show up with a little bit better moxie. They need to win the game at the end if they need to, and they need to establish their dominance now in order to be prepared for that game.
I agree, but
they've had their close games. They've had their close games. It's time to actually show who you are, step it up, and like be the elite of the elite, like you should be.
I agree. It is time to step up. But what I also love is you've went into 2 of the toughest places to play in college football this year. You're 1-1, and your only loss was 1 point because your quarterback couldn't slide properly.
Or you couldn't take a timeout when you should have. That's my biggest.
Or phantom OPI calling Jeremiah Smith when you had 1st and 10 at the 20. I mean, there's just lots of these things that go into it, but ultimately, Ohio State played an extremely good game against the number 1 team in the country, clear-cut number 1 team in the country at this time.
At their house.
When you go into Penn State, and again, I'm a believer Howard doesn't fumble that ball, Ohio State wins by 14-17. I think they dominated every aspect of that game. So you went into 2 tough road tests. You've been tested. You're 1-1. You know that you get Oregon and Indianapolis on a neutral site. It's a whole different ballgame than Autzen Stadium. So I think this is where, to your point, these are building blocks the next 2 weeks. Win by 50 plus. Then you get a top 10 team coming to your house. Let's have some fun.
Yes. Yeah. Let's show them what we're made of. Let's show them that you don't own this. Let's show them, Kurt Signetti, that Ohio State doesn't, in fact, suck.
He's going to eat those.
I love him. I love that he came in and said that, but, man, you can't be talking about the Buckeyes
First off, no, you go
Shots
in there
fired.
saying Purdue sucks. That's easy, right? Because they're
understandable.
Purdue, they're going to win by 47. Like, that gets your crowd base riled up. It's not basketball, right, where Purdue will dominate them. But that's fun. Then you start taking shots at Ohio State and Michigan.
Watch
Good
it.
luck, buddy.
Well,
good luck.
We're going to find out if that poster board materializes, actually, this weekend.
I mean, I think it's great. And honestly, I hope Indiana wins this week, because how is it going to look when Indiana's 8 or 7 coming in? And now you play 3 top 10 matchups this year. I don't even care about the fact that nobody else is ranked on your schedule.
And 2 of them on the road. Man, our schedule got flipped from being the sorriest schedule in the nation to all of a sudden it's a great strength of schedule.
Yeah. But we're seeing, again, you and I have talked about this. This is the beauty of this 12-team playoff, is we're seeing these really tough schedules, a lot of great games. Everyone's basically losing a game, and you're saying, hey, I can lose a game. Georgia can lose a second game. Lots of teams.
We're still in.
It's still in. I mean, Alabama and LSU are playing a de facto play-in game. They both had 2 losses. Now, 3's going to knock you out, but 2's going to keep you in. So I think this is incredible. I love the scheduling. I love every aspect of it.
Yeah, just completely awesome. Completely awesome. We got something that we didn't cover. Will Howard, the leadership ability, what this means to the team. You've seen some of the players talk about it. One of the offensive linemen, I can't remember who it was now, was interviewed, and he's just talking about his leadership skills. That motherfucker is a dog. Like, he's taken this team on his back. He's given the team credit when it's due and taken the blame himself when it was due. This does mean a lot. He's got a lot of the intangibles. He's scoring. He's getting that drive that started at the 1, right? He took it, quarterback sneak, got about 5 yards, I believe, to start that drive at the end of the game to really push the ball down the field and wind down the clock. There are some intangibles, that leadership ability. Does it make up for the mistakes?
No. You can say whatever you want, Sunday through Friday. But if you're turning the ball over in critical moments, if you're not understanding the situation of the game, I really don't care what you do Sunday through Friday. So no, doesn't mean jack.
Even on the field, intangibles that don't lead to stats, really.
I don't care when you fumble the ball out of the end zone, when you throw bad picks, when you don't understand how much time is left on the clock and when to get down. These are inexcusable mistakes for a freshman, let alone a fifth-year senior. So until he can prove to me that it's not about him, it has nothing to do with him. You have elite playmakers at every single position when you walk on that field. Your job is to facilitate, control the ball, do not turn it over, and get the ball in their hands. It has nothing to do with Will Howard. And that was all the great quarterbacks did it. I talked to you about Ken Dorsey, man. If you actually go back, he could throw, he could do some things. Ken Dorsey was a field general. He understood. He had first-round talent everywhere around him, and he got the ball to his playmakers, and they all dominated. That's why Miami was elite. And Ken Dorsey would be the first to tell you that. That's what Will Howard needs to be. He needs to be Ken Dorsey in Miami, not in the NFL. We don't want that.
How do you think the Penn State fans feel now? Because I got a good idea how they feel.
I think they feel like they will not get anywhere with James Franklin. I know you and our colleague, AJ, asked me at the beginning of the season if I went to Big Ten presser, what would be the one question I asked? On the cuff, my first response to you was I'd be asking James Franklin, how does he feel that being perpetually the 3rd or 4th best team in the Big Ten every year? And that's not a knock. That's a statement of
Yeah.
fact. You were always number 3 in your own division, let alone now you're probably 4th or 5th best in your conference, year in and year out. And so I do not think James Franklin has the ability to recruit at the level he needs to, or to take this program to the next level. And if I'm Penn State and I'm saying my goal is winning the Big Ten every year and winning national championships, I'm firing James Franklin. Do I think they will?
What is he 1-10 against Ohio State?
Something like that. I mean, he's only got one. I know that.
We suck again. Oh no, we suck again.
What is he like 3-16 against top 5 or top 10, something like that? I mean, again, we've talked about this with Penn State. We've talked about it with Oregon, and this is why we love doing a show like this, right? Where the bar at Ohio State is national championship. It's national championship. It's Big Ten championship. It's beating Michigan. Those are your 3 checks every year. And quite honestly, if you only get 2 of those 3, you're kind of pissed off as an Ohio State fan. It's those 3 are requirements every season. And if you don't get all 3, it's considered a failure in some way, shape, or form. And that's the level of elite programs. That's where Alabama is. That's where Georgia is. That's what I'm telling Oregon. You have to get to that place. Cheering about beating Liberty in a Fiesta Bowl, that's not an elite program. Georgia's an elite program when they pound Florida State in a playoff game and they're pissed off 5 minutes after the game.
Absolutely.
That's that level. And so if I'm Penn State fan, I'm asking myself, is my level 11-2? Am I happy with 11-2? I make a playoff and I lose, or 12-2, let's say I win a playoff game and I lose. I'm 3rd in the Big Ten. If Penn State's happy with that, then keep James Franklin. What about you? What do you feel?
I feel that 11-2 as an Ohio State fan means
Were you watching Waterboy last night as you fell asleep, man?
I had to get some of that on here, man.
No, it's a classic, man. Don't get me wrong. I love it, but I mean, how do you think Penn State fan is reacting to this, and do you legitimately feel like James Franklin's on the hot seat?
I don't. I think that's what they're expecting. Kind of like you said, this is them. Perennial number 3. Yep. Number 4 now, with Oregon being a better team. And they'll probably be a better team year in and year out with Dan Lanning on the team, coaching the team at the helm. Yeah.
Oh, it's Ohio State, Oregon. And who knows?
For the foreseeable future, yeah.
Yeah, who knows what's going to happen with Michigan? I don't think
Michigan on the recruiting trail, I think they got a number 1 quarterback coming. It's rumored that he flipped.
When? Recently? I think
they're rumored that he's flipping to Michigan.
I know they had a 4-star this past week.
Based on the rumors, he decommitted based on the rumors that Michigan was getting the number 1 quarterback. 5-star. And I can't remember who it is.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe that's something that I should look up, because I did see that. There is a number 1 quarterback coming.
And I think that's one of those like perfect combinations, right? We haven't had an opportunity to see J.J. McCarthy in the NFL because obviously he's out for the year with that injury. Who knows what you're going to see next year out of him. I think it was a perfect blend where I don't think they recruited at that level at Michigan. It just was a great team. It was a great, complete team. Obviously, advance notice of scouting helps them in a lot of ways too. But that's at least they had some athletes. They had some talent there. You look at Penn State, and really I would say besides, Jawan Dotson, right? He was a speedster, back 6-7 years ago. That was a wide receiver when we played them I was afraid of. Short of that, I never look at any one of their wide receivers and I say they scare me. It's always the Saquon Barkleys, the Mike Gesicki's, it's the running back, the tight end, pretty much are those. And if you can shut those 2 components down, you can play Ohio State football, which is man-to-man on the outside, single high safety, have at it. So until Penn State can start recruiting the athletes at the wide receiver level, they're just not.
Bryce Underwood.
I thought he's at LSU.
I think it's Bryce Underwood. No. He is at
Underwood's
LSU, but
committed to LSU.
I think that's the one that they were saying was going to flip, because he had a recent trip to Ann Arbor.
I recall, and maybe it's because of the season LSU's having, but I thought they had the number one quarterback, running back, and wide receiver going to LSU.
Yeah, there's something going on there.
Yeah, good to know. By the way, I do want to add, Julian Fleming was the third best player nationally. He wasn't number one overall, but he was third, so he's pretty
third,
high.
Yeah,
third nationally. And that's, again, I mean, I remember I watched a couple games. I watched the Bowling Green game and the UCLA game. Fleming was dropping balls, dude. So you're looking at this guy thinking, elite wide receiver. He transfers to Penn State, obviously, because he's not going to touch the field at Ohio State.
Yeah, he's going to block. He blocked. He touched the field.
Yeah,
he just didn't get passes his way. Yeah,
because he was he had the drops. He dropped at Ohio State too several times. So
we got to get into this a little bit. We were the Big Ten backers, all right, and I'll probably accidentally say it a few times because that's been on my mind for the last year and a half. Now we're the Buckeye backers. We did this because it's our heart, it's our soul. It's a lot easier for us to just show our emotion talking about Ohio against the world rather than talking about Rutgers. I don't want to talk about Rutgers anymore. I don't want to talk about Minnesota anymore. Unless we're playing them, I don't give a damn. All I give a damn about is Michigan losing, Ohio State winning, and getting to that national title again.
I love it.
Sorry for all the fans that were following us before. It's been an interesting experience. We've traveled all around the Big Ten, me and AJ. AJ's actually a Buckeye too. He was just living in Wisconsin, so he'll be joining the show decked out in Buckeye gear and kind of interesting too. That might be news to a lot of people that didn't know, but AJ is, in fact, a Buckeye. He used to go to Ohio State games with me. In fact, that's how we met, going to Ohio State games. I met him in Colorado because his brother was wearing an Ohio State jersey, and I was like, holy shit, this is an Ohio State jersey. I'm in Colorado. Stopped by, talked to him, became good friends, went to a bunch of Buckeye games, and here we are. So Big Ten backers is no more. Buckeye backers is on the table from now, and man, I am excited about it. I'm ready. We saved it to the end because we just wanted to talk football, and no one wants to hear us talk about our story. So that's our story. I will be at the Purdue game in the press box. In the press box, man. I got credentials to be in the press box. Super excited. I'm taking my grandfather's Tibittle pin with me, popping it on the collar and going.
Amen. Love it, man. Isn't it nice, man, just to talk about a really, really elite football team, not have to worry about
not watch all these other games that I don't care about? I mean, I do. I'm a college football junkie, but it's because of Ohio State that I'm a college football junkie. Let's be honest. I love watching college football, but
I do. We'll be frank. I hate the SEC, but guess what? A lot of good football down there. Yeah. I'm watching a lot of SEC games. I'm watching really good Big Ten games. But to your point, man, we're not watching Rutgers versus Maryland. We're not watching Purdue versus Minnesota. These games are just not the kind of brand of college football you and I appreciate, being born and raised.
I met you at Ohio State, man. That's why I know you.
Absolutely. You know, all of our friends are, alumni of Ohio State. We've been born into it. It's been our life. It's been our passion. And the fact that we can speak for an hour with no notes, no screens up, just talking from the heart, I think it proves we made the right decision.
Absolutely, man. And we'll speak passion about it. So catch us on Sundays. We're going to do the morning after Buckeye Backers edition. We used to do morning after Big Ten Backers, but morning after Buckeye edition, it's going to be bright and early. You're out on the West Coast, so really bright and early for you. So it's going to be 6 a.m., right?
It'll be 6:30 a.m. We're not doing
6:30? 6:30. Yeah. We're not going. But 6 for you.
We're gonna warn people up front. We have elite standards for Ohio State football. We
absolutely
action. That's what we want. We are extremely unapologetic. We're gonna hold whatever's accountable, but we're gonna praise where it's gonna praise. So if you just want to hear all the fluff and sugarcoating,
don't come here.
You're gonna have to hear something raw with us, especially if they don't cover this spread and we're seeing some faults or some issues, we're gonna point those out too. But ultimately, it's because we believe this is an elite program. And this team is national championship bound.
Gotta be. The only thing holding them back is those mistakes. In big games, this is something they're going to have to grow with. They're going to have to grow with Will Howard, getting the ball to the playmakers, not making mistakes. As long as we trend that direction, this is a national title type team.
have fun, sling it, run it, man.
Yeah.
Have some fun, razzle dazzle, use your athletic talent, put some points up, just fly around the field, man. That's what they need. They need that swagger. They need to have fun, and I think they can do it.
And coming into this season, like our biggest worry was offensive line, new quarterback, right? And that offensive line just showed they could be switched around any which way, hodgepodge, pieced together, and still maul out a win like that. It's got to get all us Buckeye fans excited. Everyone's got to be excited about this because they got the line that they need. They dominated. We just can't have any more fucking injuries.
Yeah, that'll be a big issue, obviously, and that's where I these next two games, first half, get some gelling together, get these guys out of there, right? I'd like to see somebody stepping up. I don't even know who you got at left tackle at this point. If Mikowski is going to be able to come back,
he's not. No, they're going to keep that off after the way they played and the environment they played in.
Yeah,
you don't upset that apple cart. Ryan Day said he wouldn't.
No. I'm talking in the second half when you have your second, third.
Oh,
team.
yeah.
I'm talking like who are you getting reps in as your second, third team? If you maybe look at somebody like Fitzpatrick, who's naturally a right tackle. I know you can't switch right tackle to left tackle, but I'd start to be getting his footwork right, getting him prepared for something like that because you got to have contingency plans. So,
all right, man. Well, hey, we should at least give the Dogs some credit because college football Dogs got me in the press box. I was at Indiana. I was at Penn State. Now I'm going to be at Ohio State. Hopefully there's more to come. Hopefully I'll be in Wrigley Field and also at the Big Ten championship game. But we'll see if that comes to fruition. So college football Dogs, here you go. And then we're going to get out of here, man. Already over an hour. I didn't even know in the beginning if we'd get to an hour, but here we go.
On the College Football Dogs website, you'll find a main page that features some of our biggest and newest stories. Our conference pages for content related to your favorite team's conference. Our team store, where we have products that are available all year long, as well as gear available for a limited time only. Our podcast page, where you can see when one of the 12-plus College Football Dogs podcasts is streaming live on social media. Our subscription page, where you can join our Discord. If you're interested in becoming a contributor at College Football Dogs, email us at info@collegefootballdogs.com. If you enjoy any College Football Dogs content, we really do appreciate any donations you can make by visiting the donate page on our website or scanning the QR code here.
College Football Dogs, for the fans.
All right. Buckeye backers are out. God bless. And Michigan sucks without Connor Stallions.